Okay, today is yoga for strength. So we're going to work hard today. Do what you can, take breaks when you need them. Listen to your body. Try to have more of an internal experience than just pushing yourself to follow along. We are going to begin seated today. So there are things called mudras in yoga, things that we do with our hands. And if you look them up, there's lots of different shapes we make with our hands, lots of different personal translations. So I invite you to let go of right and wrong and just begin to have an internal experience. And I'm going to read from this card, and maybe it sits with you, maybe you're feeling something different. There's no right or wrong. But just notice what it feels like to use the fingertips of our hands to send messages to our brain to kind of settle our brain and have an internal experience. It also helps us bring a single point focus. So it starts to bring that whirling mind and give it something to focus on for a little bit. An exercise of single point focus. So we're going to sit. Find a comfortable seat. If you need to use a chair for a comfortable seat, and you don't feel comfortable sitting crisscross, or if you want to put a cushion under your hips, take some time to make yourself comfortable. There are no prizes for being uncomfortable. So just start to feel your hips, and then start to feel your spine. Maybe take some wiggles, move around your spine, maybe some spirals. Just starting to notice your back, having an internal experience. So really thinking about your back and any creaks and groans and holding patterns. Maybe move your head around. Start to really feel where you are at, what you're holding today. Bring your hands, palms up, and let your shoulders soften. And then if it's comfortable for you, take a moment to close your eyes and bring your focus into the palms of your hands. So imagine you could feel that little area just above the skin in your palms of your hands. Notice your breath. Start to soften the torso. Let the breath come in a little more fully. And then just begin by rubbing your thumb and your forefinger together, making little circles, feeling the tip of your finger. And then your middle finger, your ring finger, and then your little finger. And then we're going to move on to our mudras. So if you have your eyes closed, soften them open so you can see. We're going to bring our right hand, we're going to bring our thumb and our forefinger to touch, making a little O. We are going to bring the thumb of the other hand to touch that. I'm going to wrap the other fingers in underneath on the right hand, and then wrap around the right hand. So the right hand makes this soft closed shape, and then wrap around and bring the index finger to touch. So it's like you're making two loops and you're going to touch and insert them in. So find this position with your hands. Soften your shoulders. Feel your hands. Find a comfortable spot for your hands. And if you cannot be comfortable like this, feel free to bring blocks onto your lap so that you can let your shoulders soften in this shape. So feel your hands, trying to find all of your focus into the tips of your fingers. Take a check-in on any compensation patterns that are happening in your back. Soften your shoulders and really focus in on your hands. How do they feel like this? Notice any feelings or emotions you're starting to have. And I'm going to read from this mudra card about this mudra. So as you're sitting there having your own internal experience, see if any of these words resonate with you. So this one is commitment. Give what you can. This mudra helps to stabilize you, gives you inner support and balance. Be true to yourself and always give your best. If you think it's only very little, even if you think it's only very little. We cannot always play a perfect role, but we can always try to do our best. In retrospect, we often see what we have been able to do has much more effect than we even expected. Even if it seemed rather feeble at the time. It's almost as if there is something working behind the scenes which makes up for what seems to be a deficiency. Let the light of the cosmos shine on what you do and what you leave undone. In this way, true value and depth of your deed is revealed. I do my best and let the universe do the rest. So maybe those words resonate with you. Maybe the translation of this particular shape resonates with you. And maybe it doesn't. Maybe your thoughts are whirling so much that today you can't even find the sensation in your fingertips. And that's just an experience. The whole purpose of yoga is to have these experiences to get to know ourselves. Let your hands soften back open to your lap. Notice any changes in your state of mind, your breath, your physical state. And if you closed your eyes, soften your eyes open and we'll begin to move through the spine. So thinking about moving the sternum in little soft circles. And then back in the other direction. Maybe starting to think of the idea of commitment to your practice today. Bring your sternum forward. Inhale, exhale, round out. Inhale forward, exhale, round out. Can you stay committed to being on your mat, being in your physical body, doing what you can, and accepting what you cannot, coming back to it another time. And then we're going to take our sternum left and right. So take your sternum left, back, center, and right. So starting to feel the muscles that make this happen. Notice if you're pushing down, compensating with hips or feet. Try to keep this movement above the rib cage. So squeezing the muscles underneath the rib cage and making the movement happen above the rib cage. Loosening your base, loosening your back, trying not to make this movement with your back. And then start to lift arms up with the inhale and exhale, bring them back down. Inhale up, exhale down. Maybe even taking this a little bigger. Inhale, lift, open this chest. Exhale, sweep, hollow out the belly. And then make your way to tabletop position. And begin to move and breathe from tabletop. Inhaling forward, exhaling, sending the hips back. Inhale forward and exhale back. Again, having an internal experience, warming up your body in this shape in whatever way feels right for you in this moment. You can sway the hips, you can take the weight left to right on the arms. Make some choices. Starting to tune in to what is going on in your own physical body. And then bring it up to a tabletop position. Take your hands out a little further. Slowly lower the elbows towards the ground. Engage the core. So really strong shoulders, arms, chest, and stomach. pull your stomach tightly towards the spine. We're gonna inhale, lift, start to straighten the arms. Exhale, slowly lower the arms to the ground. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. You can start to fire up your base by imagining you're pushing down through your knees and then pulling your knees apart without letting them move. Firing up the glutes also. You can tuck the toes. Lower the forearms all the way down to the ground. Engage. So lift up out of the ground. Lift up out of your shoulders. And then we're going to drop the right hip down behind the right elbow. So come on over to your side. You're going to place your left foot down, knee up, right leg long. We're going to use our left hand just for balance. And we're going to lift the right leg and lower. So we're trying to move only the right leg, and we're trying to squeeze the core to keep everything else stable. So we're really trying to use the core and use the inner thigh of the right leg. Watch for buckling into the shoulders. So try not to buckle, engage, maybe even lift up a little more out of this arm to really remind you that you're strengthening the shoulder at the same time. Bring the leg up, hold it, engage. Find the inner thigh, find the core, find the under the shoulder and the right shoulder. Breathe. Lower the right leg down, lower the arm back down, engage, lifting up out of the ground. So leaving this right leg on the ground, bringing the left leg to meet. You can do this with bent legs. Hold and engage. Little bit more weight into the left hand. We're going to lift the hips up. So lift and hover. And then little tiny pulses up out of the ground. Maybe you can straighten up the legs. Breathe. Lower the hips. Bend the knees. Come on back to a tabletop. So tabletop with forearms down. Engaging the forearms, lifting up out of the ground. Option 2, tuck the toes and hover the knees, engaging the core tightly. We're going to bring our nose a little bit forward and a little bit back. You can do this with your knees down or raised. Inhale forward, exhale, send the hips back. Lower the knees if you lifted them. Drop the hips behind the left hand. I'm going to swing around. The hips come down behind the left elbow. This is me sinking into my shoulder. This is me engaging and lifting up. So lift up out of the ground. Right leg comes over left. Left leg is long. Really long and strong. Fire up the core. And then lift and lower the leg. You're engaged the whole way. So your stomach is engaged, your shoulder is engaged. Bring the left leg up, hold and hover, super engaged, not dropping into the shoulder. Watch for tension in the neck. Breathe and hold. Lower the left leg down. Bring the right leg to meet. Option to bend the knees to make this a little easier. We are going to engage the core, lift up out of the shoulder, and then lift the hips. So find the place where you can hold the hips. Knees bent, knees straight. And then lift the hips and lower. So in controlled, slow, very small movement. Try to fire up that core and the side of your body. Lower the hips. Come back. Tabletop with the arms straight this time. Option to hover the knees or leave them down. We're gonna lift if we're lifting the knees, or come forward on the arms, and then the same thing. Bring the nose slightly forward and the nose slightly back. Inhale forward, exhale back. Trying to find the muscles of the arms. Try not to lock the elbows. A little tiny bend in the arms, so you can use all of the arm, not just one part. Bring it forward. If your knees are lifted, keep them lifted. And then take little tiny circles with the shoulders while holding body weight. So slow, controlled, moving through your shoulder, not buckling, using the muscles. And then lower the knees, lower the hips, child's pose. What can you let go of? Find your center. Come on up to down dog and warm up your down dog in whichever way feels right for you today. Swaying the hips, bending the knees. Come forward onto the arms and back to down dog. Start to have an internal experience. Where is your body calling you to move today? Bring it to a down dog and hold. Find the stillness of this pose. Lift up out of the ground. Engage your muscles. Breathe. Slowly lift the right leg high. Take a big slow circle with the right leg. Three-legged dog. And we're going to bring our right leg past our left. So bend the left a little bit. Bring our right leg past our left. So you can see your right foot if you look underneath your left arm. So we're going to tap our foot down and bring it back over to the right side, past where it normally goes, towards the right hand. All the way past your left foot, and then all the way to the right hand. Nice and slow and controlled. This leg is not flying in space. We're using our muscles. Find the muscles around the hip, in the glute, in the core. And then if you want to pump this up and learn to fly, we're going to hop as we make the leg move left to right. Nice slow hop, maybe catching some air in between. And then land in regular down dog. Catch your breath. Catch your thoughts. Bring it back into your body. Left leg lifts. Long, slow circle. Three-legged dog. Bend the right knee a little bit more. Take the left leg past the right. You can see it underneath your right arm. And then you're going to bring it towards the left hand and back. Slow, controlled. Squeeze the muscles. And then if you want to pump it up, take a little hop. Catch some air. Come back to regular down dog. Loosen the tension in the neck. Connect with your breath. Lift the right leg high, step through warrior 2 feet, and come on up to a warrior 2. So start to find your base. Really connecting with your feet on the ground, your hips, your legs, your core getting long. So, example for warrior 2, we're going to work warrior 2. So you could sink all the way down into your maximum flexibility. I do not recommend that for what we're about to do. So lift up, engage the legs, get strong. Think about strength rather than flexibility for this particular exercise. Arms long. If your arms are tired, bring them to your hips. Think about this right leg. Look at your right leg. So think about the muscles that are holding it open. And then we're going to bring the knee over to the left, into towards center, and then past the foot. So we're trying to slowly move the leg. The foot can move, the weight changing on the foot, however, feels natural. We're thinking about using the leg, finding different muscles. And try to keep this left leg stable, and if this is tough, maybe pump it in a little bit. Engage the left leg. Nice little bend in the knee. Not locking the energy in the left leg. Watch for gripping of your toes. Hold at center. Extend the arms if you took them out of the game. Lift up out of the ground. Lift the toes, wiggle them. So you're not gripping. Your legs are strong. And then we're going to releve the right foot. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower. Inhale as we lift. Exhale as we lower. Bring your hands to your hips. Turn your feet so heels are in, toes are out, and make side movements with the hips, bending one knee at a time, engaging both legs. And then find goddess pose. So settle into your goddess. Lift up out of the ground. All of your legs are active. Great time to notice left and right sides because we only worked the right so far. Hands to prayer. Hold. Make a decision about how low you're coming because you're going to be here for a little bit. Take your mudra. So remember, thumb and first finger touch. Thumb touches your circle. The other fingers wrap around on the right hand. You wrap your right hand with your left and bring your index finger to touch the circle. So wrapping circle on circle. Hold here at your heart center. Notice what is going on. Maybe you just notice your legs are firing and wondering why you're keeping them here. And then we're going to releve one foot at a time, nice and slow while holding our mudra. You can even close your eyes and really focus in on your hands at your heart center. Your feet moving through your base, your legs firing up, feeling strong. Feeling your hips open. Glutes are engaged, but not the only thing that's engaged. So fire up the legs, fire up the core. Notice if the lower back is doing too much work. Maybe lift the hips a little. Lower the heels, lift the hips, Turn the feet in and then take some shakes of the legs. Let go. Still holding your hands. And then turn your left foot out. Right foot remains. Even with the back of your mat, let your hands go. Find your base first. So lift up out of the ground. Take some movements with this leg. Find the place where you can be entirely strong in every muscle of both legs. So arms can be out, arms can be at your hips. Find your base without gripping your toes, and then take the left knee a little bit in towards the right, and a little bit over. So crossing your knee over your foot, allowing your foot to move however it feels is natural, and then using the muscles, connecting with the muscles that make this movement happen. Strong back leg, not gripping foot. Watch the low back for gripping. Watch the neck and face. Soften the neck and face. And then hold a warrior two. Really long. Find your base. Then we're going to elevate the left heel. Inhale, exhale as we lower. Nice and slow, feeling the muscles of the left leg particularly. Feeling the muscles in the foot. You don't have to lift super high. Maybe just lift the heel a teeny bit. Find the strength of your own foot, your own ankle, your own left leg. Lower the heel, hands to hips, turn toes out, heels in, and find your way to a goddess. Make a decision about how far you need to come down to feel engaged without feeling exhausted. That number 5. So number 10 is too much, number 1 is not enough, number 5 is just right. Think about that concept. The sutra describe the perfect pose or yoga being achieved when you can find that meeting point of steadiness and ease. So you're working, but you can hold and breathe. From here, we're going to work this side body. So we're going to bring our right arm out, flip the palm. And we're going to squeeze the right arm down towards the right knee, squeezing the core. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze. Those glutes and legs should be fired up. Now we're working side body. Keep those hips nice and strong and stable. Soften your face. Bring it back to neutral with the torso. Bring up the legs to straight. Turn the toes out. Shake the legs out. Catch your breath. Back to goddess. Set up for the other side. Left arm lengthens. Inhale. Exhale. Squeeze left elbow to left knee. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze. Base strong. Fire up the glutes. Don't grip with the toes. Soften the face. Soften the neck. Bring it back to center. Toes in. Shake up the legs. Really enjoy that cellular reset. Let the muscles wobble. And connect with the breath. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Hold. We are going to bring the weight onto our right leg, little bend in the right leg. We're going to bring the torso over the right leg and lean. Left foot comes to the toes. So bring your left hand to your hip, your right hand extends. Inhale, lengthen, lift this left leg up off the ground. Exhale, squeeze, hollow out the core. Tap down the foot if you need to, or challenge your balance. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze. If you have the chair, hold on to the chair. Really thinking about your core. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, squeeze. Inhale, long, exhale, squeeze. Lengthen, and then start to bring the torso over. Lower the right hand. Half moon pose. So if you have the chair, grab the chair. You can grab a block. Maybe start to pull up with the left arm. Slowly bend this right knee and float back with control to warrior two. Breathe. Flip the palms. Soften the shoulders. Bring your hands to your hips. Switch feet. Left foot out. Right foot even. Begin to bring the weight over to the left leg. Right leg is long. Point the toes. Hold the left hand out. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, squeeze in. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, left elbow to right knee. You can tap down between poses. If you want to challenge your balance, you're going to let the toe float. Engaged and controlled the whole way. We're not floating in space. We're engaging muscles. Lengthen. Lift the right leg. Slowly tip the torso over further and further. Still really engaged in the core. Allow the left hand to come down. Right arm to pull up. Engaged right leg. Breathe. Bend the left knee. Slowly let the right leg float down. Warrior two. Flip the palms. Hands to hips. Turn the feet, toes out, heels in, goddess pose. Wiggle the shoulders. Return to the mudra. Left thumb and forefinger touch. Fingers wrap down to the palm. Right hand, thumb and forefinger touch, fingers wrap down. Left hand, thumb touches your circle. Index finger wraps around, touches on the other side. Hand wraps around, hold to your heart. Goddess pose. Breathe and hold. Engage. Find some courage. Maybe lift both heels and find a little challenge. Breathe. Find steadiness and ease. Ease of your breath, steadiness of the muscles. Challenging yourself just a little. Lower the heels. Straighten up the legs. Shake it out, let the hands go. Turn your right foot back. Bring the left foot to meet the right. Standing mountain pose at the top of your mat. Connect with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale, heart to heart. Bring your prayer to your heart and check in on your base. Wiggle the toes, soften around the knees, the ankles, the hips. Soften the low back, the shoulders, the face. Bring the weight onto the left leg. Send the right leg a little bit back. So not all the way back to a high lunge. You're going to find pyramid pose. So making choices about where you can feel pyramid pose engaged. So not folding completely passive. This is passive. Finding where you can activate your muscles. So we're pulling up out of the ground. We're finding our hips. We're engaging the core and sending the torso long. So find the point where your muscles feel like they're being strengthened and lengthened. And then for the challenge, maybe lifting the toes, maybe even the ball of the left foot. Engaged in the core for balance, not locking the left knee. Lower the toes if you lifted them. Bring the right arm out, even with the shoulder. Bring the right arm down towards the left leg. So the twist happens from the core, not the hips. So bring the right arm up, move from the rib cage up, twist. Keeping this left hand on our hip. Lengthen the right arm, lengthen the torso. Breathe. Check for gripping in your toes, check for gripping in the back, engage the core a little more. Slowly bring the torso back to neutral, bend both knees. So bend both knees, pop up the back heel, pop up the front heel. Challenge your balance. Squeeze and hold. Maybe lower the hips a little more, bend the knees a little more. Engage. And then maybe send left leg towards straight, still on the ball of the left foot, torso long. Engaged core, challenge your balance, lower both heels, step forward, mountain pose, and connect with your breath. Inhale up. Exhale, prayer to heart. Bring your prayer to your heart center. Step the left foot back a little bit, not high lunge. Find the place where your hips can remain even, your legs are strong. Torso engaged, so whole core engaged. Fire up the core, bring the torso forward. Looking for that active lengthening of the muscles and strengthening at the same time. Breathe. Left arm even with the shoulder, right arm remains on the hip. We're going to twist from the core, rib cage up. Bring the left arm down towards the right foot. Lengthen the left arm. Engage the core tightly. Back to center. Engaging, maybe challenging yourself and lifting right toes. Try not to lock the right knee. Lengthen, pull up from the heel, all the way to the hip. Lower the left toes if you lift, lower the right toes if you lifted them. Bend both knees, back heel pops up, front heel pops up. Maybe challenge your balance and sink the hips a little further. Maybe sending right leg towards straight, heels lifted, torso engaged. Breathe. Lower both heels. Step forward, mountain pose. Connect with your breath. Inhale up, exhale, prayer to heart. Bring your prayer to heart. Find your base, feel your feet. We're going to inhale, lift our prayer overhead. Engage the core. Little soft bend in the knees, little tuck of the pelvis. Push the pelvis further forward and then start to lengthen. Send the hips forward, lift the shoulders. Send the shoulders back. Engaged core, watch for gripping in the feet. Bring your prayer back to neutral and then down to your heart. Shimmy the hips, let go. Inhale, lift your prayer overhead. This time bring it back down through center, all the way to the ground. Touch the ground. Take the tension out of the head. Let the knees bend so your torso finds your thighs and you can really soften. And take the tension out of the neck. Option to grab opposite elbows and really let your head rest on your forearms and take the tension out of the upper body. Maybe bend the hips a little more, letting the torso find the thighs. And then lifting up right side, lift up left side. Now we're going left and right, extending through the rib cage, engaging the core. Little movement. Let it go, bend the knees, find high plank. Hold high plank, bend the knees. Lower the knees, find a child's pose. Slowly come through to crocodile pose, lowering the hips, one hand on top of the other, forehead down, shimmy the hips. What can you let go of in this pose? We're going to move and breathe with the back line. So inhale, lifting the shoulders. Exhale, lower. Trying to engage as many muscles as you possibly find on your back line. So we're going to engage the glutes. We're going to engage the back of the legs. We're going to engage all of the back, not just the low back or the mid back. Whole back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. And as you get the hang of it, maybe you're going to lift your toes as well. Maybe even lift the elbows and draw the elbows back down. Watching for compensation patterns in the neck. So try to keep the neck even with the spine. So the neck is not pulling backwards. We're nice and long in the spine, and we're thinking about lifting the shoulders rather than lifting the skull. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Find that steadiness. Find the courage to hold. Find your breath. Inhale, center, exhale, squeeze an elbow to a hip. Inhale, center, exhale, squeeze an elbow to a hip. Small controlled movement. Find the muscles in your back. You can lower the toes. You can lower the hands and just make this movement a little bit smaller. Find where you're at. Try not to strain the neck. Look for your compensation patterns in your neck. And then bring it back to crocodile. This time, what can you let go of? What happens in the stillness of a pose? Where does your mind go? Try to draw it back to the physical, having an internal experience with what is going on in your own body. And then tucking the toes, engaging the core, lift up back to tabletop, and then find a seated position. If you have a band, grab your band. If you don't, you're just going to imagine we have it. Find a comfortable seat. You have the band, you're going to wrap it around lower arms. You're going to push out. So watch for compensation patterns when you do this. What's going on in the hips? What's going on in the low back? Try to keep this up in the shoulders. So pull out. If you don't have the band, just imagine it pulling out against a band. Push the shoulders forward and then draw the shoulders back. Push shoulders forward and draw back. Notice if you're starting to take this in your spine. So really try to keep this in shoulders and upper body and keep the stomach engaged and keep the spine still. Try not to push into the hips or the feet. We're working the arms. Look for those compensation patterns. Pull back, nice and slow. Hold the arms out, shoulders about neutral, so not too far forward, not too far back, just neutral. We're going to pull the right arm open and hold. Breathe. Bring it back to neutral, left arm to the left. Breathe. Watch for your compensation patterns in your neck. Soften your face. Don't hold your breath. Breathe. Bring it back to neutral. Release your arms from the band. Sprinkle glitter around. Flick your hands. Flick your arms. Take little shakes, let the muscles wobble, and then come on down to your back. Keep your strap handy if you have it. Come on down to your back. Bring your knees in. Just feel your hips, your back on the ground. Start to land. Find your breath. Find your feet. Feel your feet. If you have the band, wrap the band around the foot, ball of the foot. Don't just hold on to the leg. Let the left foot come down to the ground, knee up, press into the band, or just send the ball of the foot up to the side, and then push the hip down into the ground. So push actively the hip into the ground. Have an experience with the back of your leg. Maybe pull the leg forward or push the leg away. Finding the back of the leg, and then let the leg come over to the right. Left knee can fall to the left. Still trying to keep those hips grounded. Breathe. Find the inner thigh. You can play with the foot. You can keep it static. You can move the foot closer to your nose or further away. Breathe. Slowly bring the foot back to center. Cross the right knee over the left. Let the band go. Bring the knees in towards the chest and feet to opposite shoulders. Breathe into the glute. piriformis space on the right side. Slowly unravel. Both feet on the ground, knees up, and then take the left foot up. Wrap the band. Press the ball of the foot up to the ceiling. Press the hip down into the ground. And have an experience with the back of the leg. And then open up to the left side. Right knee over to the right. Hips grounded. So push those hips down into the ground with your stomach muscles. Not overly flattening the low back to the ground. So you push your rib cage down, your hips down. Your natural curve of your back can remain if you engage your core. So notice any grip in the back. Slowly bring the foot back to center. Cross the left knee over the right. Unwrap the foot, knees into chest. Breathe. We did a pretty solid whole body workout today. So for our cellular reset today, we're going to try and do whole body. So bring your heels down to the ground. Your legs are almost straight. Soft bend in your knees. Find the position where your shoulders are nice and relaxed into the ground. Your arms or wherever your shoulders and arms are comfortable. And we're going to flick our toes. So we're trying to look for that shake of the muscles throughout the entire body. So you're going to flick quickly and try and get all the way up and down the spine, a whole torso wiggling, all of the shoulders wiggling, the stomach wiggling, the legs wiggling. As much of the body as possible wiggling. See if you can soften and even get the muscles of the face wiggling. And it's a great time to notice where you might not be wiggling. It might be your body telling you where you have a holding pattern. For example, right now, I have one right over my left shoulder into my chest. That muscle is telling me it's tight. Everything else is wiggling. That muscle is telling me that it's tight. And I'm just going to send my breath there and let it be tight and grippy. Experience it. Try it is fine. So it started pretty big. It started like the size of my hand spread out, and I'm starting to focus down on where it's coming from. It's getting smaller and smaller. I'm breathing and releasing. I'm trying to relax, trying to stop, and it went. So see if you can get that to happen. Sometimes just telling your brain where the holding pattern is, your brain is able to do its own work and naturally reset it. Keep going, keep wiggling, keep noticing. Then take a really long, slow breath in, and with the exhale, let your body fall to the ground wherever it lands. Notice what is present. Let go of control of your breath. Let go of control of the muscles of the face. Soften the feet. And if you are perfectly comfortable in this position, this is where you want to stay for your resting pose. Please stay. If you need to make adjustments, place something under your knees, place your feet up on a chair. Take the time to find your resting pose that's going to work for you right now. Option to return to that mudra if it was working for you. So, bringing your right hand, thumb and finger to touch, making a circle. Wrap the other fingers in towards the palm, but not tight, not gripping. Bring your hand to your stomach. Let your left thumb touch your circle on your right hand. Let your left index finger touch your circle and your hand wrap around. So notice if you can bring a lot of tension back into the body when you do this. If you do, go back to just resting. Try to allow your shoulders to find the ground. Notice how your hands feel. Notice perhaps the sensation of giving yourself protection, giving yourself strength. It's like we're wrapping ourselves in our own power. We're bringing our left and right sides to connect without gripping. Finding strength, almost by bringing ourselves into a single point and finding strength in that center of ourselves. Finding the courage to address what we need to address, the courage to surrender to things we cannot change, and the wisdom to know the difference. And if this mudra is working for you, feel free to keep it up or let your hands soften back down. And think about the courage to make the changes we need to make. Courage to surrender to the changes, the things that we cannot change. And the wisdom to know the difference. If you have the time to take an extended period in your resting pose, please take the time that your body needs. If you need to finish up in this 60-minute mark, when you're coming up at that mark, so begin to return to feeling your body on the ground. I invite you to gently bring your thumb and your first finger to touch on both hands. Try not to bring too much tension into the hand, but just to feel the thumb and the first finger connecting. And as these practices are ancient and they've been through many translations and cultures, you may have heard different translations, you may know something different, it may work for you, and that is perfectly okay. Try to let go of right or wrong and just have an experience. One of the translations of this particular shape of our hand, one that we've actually been using in amongst the mudra we use today, is this is bringing ourself to connect with something greater than ourselves, or understanding the similarity of ourself with all life on the universe. understanding that we are made up of the same stuff that stars are made up of. Yoga means union. Our thumb and our finger are making a circle, a union. In keeping with that theme of courage throughout class today, perhaps thinking about the courage to allow your little spark, your bliss, to be brave enough to reach out and connect with the bliss outside of you, inside others, and inside all living things, inside nature. Allowing your heart to connect with the sunset, the breeze in the leaves, the autumn colors, the courage to allow yourself freedom to drop your heart wall and allow that connection to something outside of yourself. And then when you're ready, bringing your knees in to your chest, giving yourself a little hug and curling up in a ball in a fetal position, whichever side is calling to you. Connect with the fetal position. One last moment to connect with to your internal layer, your bliss layer. Peeling away all the other layers. Connecting within. Below the inner critic. Below the experiences, below yesterday and tomorrow, just right now, right here. And then finish your practice coming up to a seated position and bringing your hands to prayer at heart space. Connect with this gesture of bringing your left and right sides to meet in front of your heart. This gesture of accepting ourselves as whole and complete precisely as we are. May we all have the courage to let go of that idea of perfection. The idea of failure. May we have the courage to change the things that need to be changed. The courage to surrender to those that cannot be changed. And the wisdom to know the difference. Thank you for joining us. Look, I can use my